So the Indiana Fever have just lost Kristy Wallace. Kristy Wallace has now left the team for a season, and she will not be playing in the 2025 WNBA seasons. But in this video, we are going to be talking about players potentially that can come in for Kristy Wallace's spot. And the Fever have got one spot left right now. They've got one spot left on their roster. So the first player that they could select, they could keep Jaelyn Brown. They could keep Jaelyn Brown, and that's something that is a possibility, I guess. Like, she's a 6'1" wing. A lot of people she's a player that looks way better in highlights than she actually is. Jaelyn Brown on the season playing in Russia. Thankfully, she had her 10-point game. And by the way, the Russian league is not a high league. Since Christmas Eve, her point totals in a bad Russian league have been 2, 4, 0, 4, 0, 5, 10, 4. And on the year, she is shooting 34% from 2 and 28% from 3. So about 30% from the field in a bad league. She will be the last option. Because Jaelyn Brown is not that good. She's just not that good. So I would probably say she is the least likely option. And with the draft, obviously they've got players, whatever, mocked here. This is just a tiny thing. I think they just put random players in. The Fever have picks 19 and 20. One of these picks is going to be used on a player that is probably not here, that I'm guessing. One of these picks is going to be used on a stash player. They can't get two of them, so they're going to stash one player, and they're going to allow Jaelyn Brown fight it out with whoever they use with the 19th or 20th pick. It doesn't really matter for the team. So these are players that could potentially be taken. So the first player that's been mocked a lot to the Fever is Sedona Prince. Sedona Prince gives them some actual size, but she's somebody that whenever she faces someone that is like comparable to her size-wise, she struggles. Like Sedona Prince bullies the 6'2" centers, but struggles against players that are 6'5", 6'6", like her size or athletic. She's someone who struggles against higher level competition. So with that happening, like for me, I don't think Sedona Prince is a good option for the Indiana Fever, as well as all the off-the-court baggage. With all the off-the-court stuff, I just think it's I don't know. I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. And again, I think she has another year of college eligibility, so she can go and I think she can play another year. She's been draft eligible since 2022, but she could potentially go in the 2026 draft, which is madness. But yeah, so she'll be the oldest player drafted since Alou Lopez Seneschal. After that, Lucy Olsen, if you just want a bucket. Lucy Olsen's a bucket. Lucy Olsen's clutch. Lucy Olsen's fearless. That's what you're getting with Lucy Olsen. Like, she literally went in. Like, it takes balls to replace Caitlin Clark at Iowa. It does. Like, it literally takes balls to do that. And yes, her points per game went down from last year. But her 3-point percentage gone up. Her field goal percentage is the same. She's averaging more assists per game. And yeah, I get it. They lost 2 tough games. No one was good in that UCLA game. She was unbelievable against Ohio State. Like, Lucy Olsen has been, especially as of late, at times putting Iowa on her back, as well as being a good defender. She's not a bad player to take with that 19th pick. Another player in a similar mindset is Hailey van Lith. I really like what Hailey van Lith has been doing at TCU. Hailey van Lith's been averaging basically the same stats as Lucy Olsen for a much better team in TCU. TCU were not meant to be. They were ranked as 5th in their conference. They're probably going to win their conference, are they? No, they're 2nd in the Big 12. So they're 2nd in the Big 12. They were expected to be like 5th or 6th. This was a team that people thought wasn't going to make the tournament. The other team people think could make the Elite 8. Mainly off the back of a bounce back year from Van Lith. So she had 19.7. Like, this has been Hailey van Lith's best college season. It has. Like, 3-point shooting's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. Highest field goal percentage of her career. And +2 assist to turnover ratio. Getting some boards. Hailey van Lith is, like, genuinely a really underrated player. And yes, she can't guard a parked car. But on the offensive end, her passing, her handle, And you've seen with all the stuff with Team USA, she'll be playing with WNBA players and she's comfortable going at them. Just like Lucy Olsen, Hailey van Lith is absolutely fearless. And you also have to take into account that she has turned TCU into a potential, everything goes right, they could fluke a Final Four appearance. So Van Lith is somebody that they should definitely consider. Another player that a lot of people have written off is Raven Johnson. She's just locked down. Like, Raven Johnson is one of the worst offensive players I've seen. She can't shoot. Like, she's shooting 32% from 3. That's not accurate. That is not accurate. She's shooting 35% from the field. Like, sorry, no, she's shooting 28% from 3. This is she can't shoot the ball at all. But she can just come in and lock someone down. And is that worth having as an end-of-the-bench roster spot, which this player is probably going to be? Sure. Having somebody that can just lock someone down sitting on the end of the bench 100% can be an effective thing, and she will go in and play a role, because as far as perimeter defense, she'll be one of the better perimeter defenders day one. And I don't think Raven Johnson's a bad player. Anyone saying taking a non-offense player in the first round is crazy, but as a second round pick, Raven Johnson's not bad, especially in that 19-20. And the last player might be taken earlier, but someone that I actually talked about maybe the Fever going for at 8 as a potential coming in as a starter, Maddy Westbeld. So Maddy Westbeld's, her touches are really going down. Like, she's down 6 points per game. Big reason for that is she doesn't really touch the ball that much. Like, you're looking at how she's playing. She plays 41 minutes and she has 6 points on 42% field goal shooting. So what's that, like 3 of 7? Like against Miami, like she's 11 points on 80% shooting. Like, in these games, she's been fine. She's been absolutely fine. And the thing is, you look at her percentage on the season, shooting 40% from 3, 55% from the field. 3.1 rebounds isn't ideal, but last season she at least averaged 9, so at least there was something there. And it's just a completely diminished role for Maddy Westbeld, which is the reason why she went from being projected at 8 at the start of the year. She is still a shooting 4. That's what she is. She is a shooting power forward. And she's someone that, had she gone for the draft last year, was probably an early second round, late first round pick. And with her, based on her career, you could argue she should be a late first. She's not going in the first round. Maddy Westbeld, her role has been completely diminished on Notre Dame. But it's like, do you want to take a risk? It's like, is Dantas a long-term option for them? And if Dantas isn't, she can come in as a backup power forward, maybe by year 2, getting some okay minutes. Like, Maddy Westbeld's not going to be a star. Maddy Westbeld's probably not going to be a starter. But especially with Natasha Howard and whoever they end up bringing in during the Great Reset 2026. But what she could be is a really solid bench player who'll come in, hit a shot, occasionally grab a board, maybe play some defense. And worst case scenario, she's Katie Lou Samuelson-esque on a minimum deal, which now that you've lost Kristy Wallace isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, honestly, in hindsight, if you'd known Kristy Wallace was going to leave, there was no point in buying Katie Lou Samuelson. You might as well have just kept Katie Lou. But, yeah, it's not a bad option here. So any of these 5 players, like, you've got Maddy Westbeld, who I think long-term could be a nice stretch 4. Raven Johnson can literally just come in and lock someone up. Van Lith and Lucy Olsen are fearless bucket getters, who, having one of them, I have a weird feeling one of these two is going to have a decent WNBA career. I don't know which one is going to be, but one of them will be. And in Sedona Prince, there's just so much baggage there that it's kind of hard. Or you just take Jaelyn Brown, which is, I think, the least likely one because, well, she's just not very good at basketball. So anyway, yeah, not very good at basketball in comparison to the other players, especially potential-wise. Like, Jaelyn Brown is worse at basketball than all of these players, and they are all younger than her and not 27 years old. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys.